And good morning, Melbourne. Isn't it a wonderful day outside? Sun is shining.
How are you, Tony?
Going well, and yourself, Simon? Is it sunny over your way?
Yes, I'm actually looking out the window at the moment, and believe it or not, I know many won't, but there is not a cloud in the sky. It's beautifully, um, very, very blue this morning. Yeah.
That's great. So let me just start off with our mission today. Our mission, should we accept it, is to educate and engage with our audience with lively discussions with experts to gain their valuable experiences, tips, and benefits of their business and well-being practices they can offer. So on that, we've got a great show for you today. We've got a very special guest, but before we introduce our special guest, let me tell you who I am. I am Tony Neal, and well-being is my business. I love to help individuals, business owners, with customized retreats, workshops, and consultations to maximize their feelings of vibrance, purpose, happiness, health, and success. Over to you, Simon. What do you do?
Yeah, for those that don't know me, my name is Simon Bowden, and I'm the owner of Simon Bowden Coaching and also the Marketing Business Coach. I've been an international marketing business coach for 25 plus years, which, as I keep saying, makes me feel old. But anyway, I'm also a master coach, which means I've coached in excess of 10,000 hours. My aim is to look at each business I coach and identify what's working and not what's working. And I eradicate what's not working and replace it with strategies that do work, Tony. And I help business owners see the real potential in their businesses and obviously in themselves as well. As a result, I can double or even triple the income in a 3 to 6 month period, subject to the business. But I love what I do, and I'm passionate about helping people succeed. So that's what we're on about, Tony.
That's right. I've had a very exciting week this week. Let me tell you this, Simon. I've launched our new Bina retreat. So I've put that up on LinkedIn, and we've got our website going. And you're not going to believe this, Simon. We've actually got 3 bookings already. And we've only just started, and we've got a couple more spots left, so we want to fill them up quickly. So if you're out there and you want to do a retreat, let's just contact me, right?
And what an amazing place that New Bina is. For those that don't know, New Bina is down in Tasmania. It's down near Port Arthur, in actual fact.
That's right.
And, it is a beautiful, beautiful part of the world. And I've actually been there myself, and it's just it's magical. That's all I can say. And I can imagine that holding a retreat down there, Tony, would be just amazing.
Absolutely, we're really looking forward to it. And Simon, tell me what have you been doing this week?
Oh, I've had an extremely busy week, Tony. To be perfectly honest, I'm glad it's Friday.
That's right.
Actually looking forward to having a bit of a break, and no, look, I've had a very successful this week. I've had a couple of major projects pretty much finished up, and looking forward to again another amazing week next week. So, but enough about that. I think, Tony. It's I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce our audience to our special guest today, who is the absolute awesome Annette Tavitian. And we're very, very glad to have her on our show this morning. Annette's, for those that don't know Annette is a very savvy global confidence coach, and she's dedicated to women and located on the central coast of New South Wales. What's the weather like up there, Annette, anyway?
It's actually amazing. Thank you, Simon. It's beautiful here today. The sun is shining, and it is cold. I've got my jackets on. I've got 3 layers on, but it's really beautiful here this morning.
No, that's good. So those that don't know Annette works with her clients to smash low self-esteem and self-worth, and specialises in helping women through marriage breakdowns, separation, and divorce. So Annette's going to share today with us some of her personal stories and some of the things that she gets up to on a daily basis. So welcome, Annette. I'm so glad to have you.
I'm really excited to be here today, Simon. I've been looking forward to this. And having a chat to you and Tony. So yeah.
Yeah, no, fantastic. So let's kick it off by saying, tell us about you and why you started your business called Soul Connect.
Well, yeah, so like I guess for anyone who knows me, I'm a solo mumpreneur. So I've got 2 kids under 10. Well, one's turning 10 actually next week. And I started my business because I realized that a lot of women need to have the support around them. Because like, you know, when so I went through a marriage breakdown in 2012, end of 2012. And when I left, I was 3 months pregnant with my daughter. So, you know, obviously leaving and having a small child with me was probably one of the hardest decisions I had to make, because it was, you know, having to start my life anew. And yeah, so I was running a business doing psychic readings and tarot readings at the time. So had to put all of that aside. And yeah, and having to, you know, start my life again and rebuild and find myself after being married for, you know, I was married for 2 years. I've been with the person for about 6. So having to find myself again after my marriage was really, really difficult. So yeah, so when I left Queensland at the time to come back to Sydney, starting my life was a really hard thing to do. So I started Soul Connect because I wanted women to be connected to their soul and realize that they could connect what they do as a purpose and a passion as well, if that makes sense. Yeah, so I started the business really because I wanted women to see that leaving your marriage doesn't have to be a difficult thing to do. You can start it, you can become successful. Yeah, I think that's what I'm doing. I'm a little bit nervous today, so I do apologize.
That's all right to be nervous.
I suppose what you're saying though, Annette, is you love giving women the confidence in being able to make decisions down the track and be able to push forward, you know, after having some trauma in their lives.
Yeah. So like for me, I think leaving my marriage was a really difficult decision. But I know that, you know, 9 years down the track, it has been a better move for me, even looking back. But I wanted to start Soul Connect because I wanted to empower women like myself who were too afraid and too scared to leave, who were too afraid to speak up for themselves, who didn't have that confidence in themselves. Because, you know, believe it or not, you know, as I come across as quite confident on camera and all that, you know, 10 years ago, I wouldn't even recognize myself because I was shy. I was soft spoken. I never said what I wanted to say. So I always felt like I was being silenced. And, you know, women need to feel confident, need to feel good about themselves.
Yeah, totally.
You've been through a pretty tough period there, leaving with your children, yet you came out so resilient. What did you do, and what strategies did you use to become resilient?
Well, again, Tony, it was a really long journey. So I came out of about 2 years ago. I decided that it was about time to take a stand for myself, and it was about the time that I actually launched Soul Connect as a business. And I realized that, you know, there are strategies you can use, such as for me, so I'm a singer as well. I love singing. I love music. So a way for me to express myself was to get out on stage. And being a shy, reserved person, getting up in front of an audience of, say, 100, 200 people is very, very scary. So I actually became resilient by getting myself out of my comfort zone. And that was probably the most difficult thing I've ever had to do. Because I didn't want to be put in the spotlight. I didn't want people to see me. I didn't want people to see me for who I was, because I was afraid that people weren't going to like me. So I just kept in the shadows. So, like when I had the kids, you know, when you've got kids and they're running around and you can't help but be part of their lives, and people, you know, you feel like people are constantly judging you for what you're doing, for your parenting, and it actually builds you up and makes you stronger. But I like to use different sort of strategies, getting out in the open, going to meetups, which was one thing that I started doing last year, which I've never been a huge people person and being in crowds. So getting myself out of that comfort zone and going to meetups and being part of Zooms. But being on camera is also a very, even though I've been doing it for years, it's also a very daunting thing. One of the things I had to learn to do from within the last couple of years, because my marriage broke down and my confidence broke down, my self-esteem broke down. I started thinking that I was not good enough, about myself. And I had to do things like journaling. I had to keep reassuring myself, yes, you're a good person. Yes, you're good enough. And realizing that people who are actually looking at me weren't actually judging me negatively. So I think a lot of people go through that. They think that people looking at them and going, oh my God, that person's awful. This person's not good enough. They're not very nice. And you start thinking in the back of your mind that people are always constantly talking about you, and it's the self-doubt that starts creeping in, if that makes sense, Tony. Like,
so do you think it's about perception?
Sorry?
Do you think it's about perception?
Yeah, absolutely about perception, yeah.
Yeah.
And I did a couple of years ago, actually, one of my biggest moments of actually becoming resilient and realizing myself as a person and being good enough was I had a YouTube channel doing psychic readings and astrology readings, and that I had to do 12 readings a day on camera. And when you see yourself on camera, no one likes seeing themselves on camera really, unless you look amazing. But yeah, having to see yourself on camera and not doing edits, that was also very confronting, and in a way also made me quite resilient. So I was doing that day after day, and you'd see yourself on camera, and you're like, I just want to get that message across to my audience and help them and give them as much guidance as possible. So that actually gave me more confidence to, do what I'm doing now on LinkedIn and producing videos and coming strong. Yeah.
And I suppose that leads me into now, what inspired you to start coaching, and why LinkedIn?
What inspired me to coach? Well, it's sort of always been in my blood. So, back in high school, everyone has a dream. They want to be a firefighter, or they want to be a YouTuber. They want to do all these different things. And for me, I'd always had a love of counseling and helping people. So even in my last years of year 12, which were many, many years ago now, I remember going to my parents, look, I want to be a counselor. I want to help people. I love listening to people's problems. And my mum said to me, you like what? You like listening to people's problems? I'm like, yeah, I do. And yeah, so that kind of inspired the journey of going into the counselling field and working in counselling and helping people. And that sort of led a bit into doing psychic readings and tarot and all that things about 10 years ago. But then I realized there was a problem. So I'd be listening to people talking about their problems, and I'd be giving them a few strategies here and there and doing what you do as a counselor. But the people who would come to guidance with me would say to me that they wanted something more. And I found that gap. I found that gap between giving someone a personal reading and them wanting to have more guidance, better strategies. And just like a sign, I started seeing all these things about coaching. And I'd done a coaching certificate, a diploma. And I thought, why not integrate coaching into what I do as a job? And it kind of started from there. And I started offering coaching after I would do a reading. I said, do you want more help? And people say yes or no or whatever. And that kind of led me into wanting to help people, especially when they start telling me their stories about how they'd left their husband, or how they'd, gone through a terrible breakup, whether it was a male or female. And I'd say, look, would you like me to do some coaching for you? You can do it one-on-one. And, yeah, I found that was the strategy that I used. And then by accident, actually last year, about 12 months ago, I just left my job because of COVID. And I realized that I couldn't do coaching on the side and have a full-time job and also online school with the kids. So I was doing that all in one go and about to have a nervous breakdown, quit my job, and decided that I was going to do coaching full-time. So I'd heard of LinkedIn. I'd used it. I had 50 connections. And I thought, oh, it's a fresh platform. I'm not an Insta person. Facebook really is for friends and family for me. And jumped on LinkedIn, and it was like we were in a relationship.
That's right.
So, it was like me and LinkedIn had some kind of relationship happening. So, started engaging and things like that. So I chose LinkedIn because it felt fresh, and I didn't actually. I actually started seeing Ed's posts. I don't even remember how, but I saw Ed Zia's posts on LinkedIn, and I'm like, oh, this guy's posting content like you would on Facebook, and it's very inspiring. I can do that. And then that's kind of how I started using LinkedIn to promote myself, and I realized that I could use my love of my previous doing YouTube readings. I could actually start doing videos, and it started getting lots of engagement. So surprisingly,
that's wonderful. And I just want to go back. You just start off with, you only had 50 followers, and in 12 months later, I understand you had 52,000 followers. How did you manage to do that? And what was the key? What's the secret of your success? I'd love to know that one.
I went to bed and woke up and I had lots of followers. I guess I had some secrets there too. It was really about putting out video and content that people would want to actually watch. So it would be a mixture of, putting videos up of, I don't know, me at the beach. I love the beach. That's my thing. I do things at the beach, outside, lots of movement, and then also having inspirational content. But over the year, it has taken a lot of work. I've had to engage in contact. I've had to connect with people. And what I learned, Tony, was you don't connect to everyone. That was my biggest learning. Like, you have to be very specific on who you're trying to connect to.
Yep.
So, it's been a mixture of, helping people on LinkedIn as well to grow as I have. And also to help, people to see how easy it is to actually grow the platform. So I've always enjoyed numbers and statistics and seeing how I can play with algorithms. So it's been very interesting seeing how, I think one post I did, it was actually a repost of Lassie Zia's, I can't remember, it was like the Boss Lady Summit. And I reshared that, and that had over 88,000 views.
Wow.
And it was just a reshare.
Wow.
So I love how the LinkedIn algorithm can just be, 1 moment it's low, and then the next minute it's up in the high number. So I guess I attribute the success to the fact that I spent a lot of late nights engaging, meeting people, Zoom calls, being part of meetups, which really helped as well. So yeah, it's been an interesting journey, and being consistent. So, obviously LinkedIn has its moments where it will sort of sit at a number and then you'll see a spike. So you're never going to know who's going to follow you and who's going to not going to follow you. Yeah.
So in your LinkedIn, in the content that you share in your videos, you appear so comfortable and confident in front of camera.
Yeah.
Have you always been so confident?
No. So I think I mentioned that before. So all through my life, I've been very shy. I don't like being in the spotlight, well, except for karaoke, of course. But
on Let's Chat.
Sorry?
And on Let's Chat. You love being.
Oh, I don't know. But yeah, so I think it's taken me many, many years to build up my own confidence, especially when I was in a marriage where I didn't have any confidence in myself. I didn't think I mattered. I didn't think that I was loved or worth anything. And when you go through that too, through your childhood, so not feeling like you can speak up, not being vocal, it really does affect you.
Yep.
But I realized that you can actually, I have a little method that I like to use, but I can switch my confidence on and off. So in the right setting, I can be observant. And, in the other right setting, I can be outgoing and fun and I guess be the party goer that I need to do, but I can actually switch it on and off. So I still get nervous and I still get shy, but I always remember that, there's always someone in the audience or who's around there who's actually going to be more shy than me. And that's usually the person I talk to help them to build their confidence up. So, I've done a lot of readings. I think I did over 200 video readings a couple of years ago. So I try to appear confident, I guess, just like everybody else. We all have that little person in us that just sort of has their moment and saying, oh, don't talk, don't do this, don't do that, but you push through it. And yeah, like I said, you can just, for me, I can just switch it on and off. And I remember that I'm not always the only person in the room who's feeling that way. Mm-hmm. And you've just got to, I feel like you've just got to push through it. And, if people are judging you, let them judge. That's been I think my biggest takeaway from the confidence. People are always going to judge you for who you are and what you're doing. So you may as well just do it anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Annette, what's been your biggest challenge so far, and how did you overcome it?
My biggest challenge. So I actually just wrote this down because I've had quite a few challenges, Tony. Just give me a second. So the biggest challenge I've had to overcome has been my life challenge, which has been my low self-worth. And, I share this candidly because I have suffered depression. I have had high anxiety, and the biggest challenge for me has been maintaining a sense of, that higher power that you can rise above. Yeah. So pushing through those feelings of not feeling good enough, feeling like you're not worthy, feeling like no one actually wants you. I think pushing through those feelings, or like, especially now. So after my marriage, I was single. I met people. I break up with them, that kind of cycle. And being single now, and it's being in that energy of, sometimes like, maybe no one wants me. And I'm not saying that for me now, but it's those feelings of like, maybe people don't want me. Maybe people don't want me as a coach. So I think over the years, it's been battling with those, maybe people don't want to know me. And that's, again, been my lifelong battle of not feeling like I'm good enough. And that was a major challenge. And touch wood, I've been able to push through that and see that, I am worth something. And, I am good. I am good enough. And people do like me. There's always going to be someone who doesn't like you, and that's normal. But the biggest challenge has really been battling with those feelings and battling through those feelings without going on to medication. So when I did see doctors, they say to me, oh, you're going through depression, you're going through this. It's like, yes, I know I am, but I don't need to. And this was personally for me, it might not apply to everyone, but I don't need to be put on that medication to get past what I'm going through. So finding alternative ways, meditation, journaling, really making sure I have that right support network around me, Tony. People like Simon, for example, who are high energy and, really motivational, having people like Edward Zia who are also high energy, motivational, people who are positive. So having a positive support network around me really, really helped me battle with that, overcome that battle. Sorry. Yeah.
So I'd like to acknowledge your wisdom and discernment to to acknowledge that, and also your openness. You've allowed yourself to be vulnerable,
Yes.
but it takes great courage to do that, and you've been able to achieve that, and that shows great resilience.
Yeah, totally agree. I really do. So, Annette, if I could ask you, what's been your biggest pain or failure that you've had, and what have you learned from it?
Oh, look, I think over the years I've had a lot of pains, and failures. And I really wanted to make because there's been a few of them, but I'll mention at least one of my failures which I had, which hopefully might inspire someone to open up their own business if they've been sitting on that. My biggest failure was a couple of years ago. I was working for the as a caseworker. I won't mention where, but I was working as a caseworker, and anyone who's worked as a caseworker knows how difficult the job is. So I worked there for about 7 months and quit my job because of the pressure and the stress, and I had two small children. And I decided, after my boss had told me that I'd be better in a support role, which she was right about, obviously. I took on the support role, and she said to me, you'd be better doing support, counseling, coaching, somewhere where you're working one-on-one, inspiring people. I'm like, okay, that sounds like a good idea. So I jumped straight out of that into opening up my own practice. And I thought, I'm going to become a counselor. I paid all my fees. I got my insurance. I got everything. Got myself a little office in the middle of nowhere, and said, yep, I'm a counselor now, and set it all up. I had one client in the 4 months that I was working there, and it failed. I actually fell flat on my face. I failed miserably, and I thought, I'm never, ever going to do this again. I'm never going to do this again. I'm never going to open up my own business. It's done. And that was a turning moment when it all fell on its face, that I had to get, I'm just on a course. I had to just can everything and go back to work full time, because I couldn't do counseling, right? So anyway, I went into my job, and it was a big flop as well. And then I thought, you know what, I'm going to give this a second go, and I'm actually going to be successful this time around. So that's when I opened up Soul Connect and decided that I was going to do things differently. The first thing I was going to do was I was going to learn how to market myself. So this was a big failure. So it was a failure turned into something else, because I failed the first time. But the second time around, when I built Soul Connect, I had a strategy. I had the foundations in place. And this time around, the second time around, it's actually become successful. So sometimes when we start something, it fails miserably, but it's not a reason to give up. So that was probably my biggest failure, but it turned into something better, because here I am today on LinkedIn, and I'm coaching. One of my biggest, sorry.
Congratulations, Annette.
That was
Thank
great.
you. And look, it takes 2 or 3 goes too. I think, people, it takes 2 or 3 goes sometimes in business to actually become successful.
That's right. A lot of the big billionaires, a lot of them have gone bankrupt, and they've learned from those mistakes, and that's how they became powerful and so successful. And talking about that, I understand that you've got some exciting courses about resilience, confidence, and overwhelming obstacles. Can you tell us all about that?
Yes, I will. So one of my dreams, I say over the last 10 years, I've always wanted to teach. So my thing was, I always wanted to teach tarot. I'm a good teacher. I do psychic development. I run groups. I teach people one-on-one. But the problem was, and I'm going to be honest with you, not everyone can afford coaching. And I'll be blatantly honest with that, because it's time, it's money. And some people don't even have the time if you're in a different state or if you're in a different country. And having that one-on-one support doesn't always work. So I had this idea that what I was going to do is have some courses that I was going to offer that would still give people access to me, and have that personal development, that access of personal development courses. So resilience, overcoming obstacles, one of the things I'm going to be putting into it is how to grow your following on LinkedIn. So, based on, things that people have told me, what they want to see, what they want to learn, I'm going to be putting that all in a nice, pretty little package, so that they have access to me and to the courses. And it's a way for me to showcase my skill set. But I think that everyone should have the opportunity to have access to coaching, regardless of how small it is. So even if it's just half an hour, everyone needs to have that support. And being in that the vault, which I'm going to be calling the personal development vault, people actually have that opportunity to have access to me also one-on-one. So I'm very, very excited about doing it. And it was something that I put off for about 2 or 3 years, but the timing's right. And, I think the time is now to help as many people as possible, especially through this very dark and damp period with COVID.
Yes.
People feel so unmotivated, and even that little bit of a push for motivation will really help someone out there.
Thank you very much. And I love that last comment about COVID, because I think it's a big thing that's happening to raise our spirit to get up, because we've just been through our 5th lockdown in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Now, if there's one message that you wanted to get across to the audience, what would it be, Annette?
My message is to persevere. It doesn't matter where you are today in your life. Persevere, keep going. If you think you're going to fail, push even further forward. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Now, my main takeaway from today is your resilience and your determination to get through everything. I'd like to honour you for that, and I think that's a great learning for all of us, to keep on keeping on, no matter what, and also to smile. Very important. And what was your what was your main takeaway, Simon?
Thanks, Tony. I think, firstly, credit to you, Annette. I think what you've been able to manage on your own at the end of the day has been amazing. And I think the fact that you've now been able to turn that, what was your issues, into being able to help other women going through the same issues has been incredible. And I met you about 6 months ago, and I've absolutely loved our journey together.
Yeah.
And I think just watching you just bloom, even in the last 6 months, has been just with that amazing confidence that you have, has been incredible just in itself. But I suppose that the key there for me is absolute determination. And I think for anybody out there, please don't give up. There's a message that Annette's given everybody today, and I think don't give up. Doesn't matter how hard things get.
Yeah.
There's always a way through, and it's just a matter of finding it. And sometimes you just need help in being able to find that. So I know Annette and what Annette delivers and helps people, and she's absolutely incredible in what she does. So kudos to you, Annette, and I think your next 12 months is certainly, with your new courses coming out, is going to be absolutely incredible. So well done.
Yeah. Thank you, Simon. And again, it's that silver lining as well, to let people know that regardless of how hard things get, there's always a silver lining. And again, just getting that right support always helps. Making sure you have the right people around you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So
Very well words.
Absolute credit to you. I wanted to take the opportunity to let our audience know that our next Let's Chat is we have an incredible story coming to you in a fortnight's time, and it's through Lewis Fulliger, who's from the United States, who's actually been through a double lung transplant, and I was a witness to the journey, literally a day-by-day scenario where if a donor didn't come forward, he was only a matter of days away from not making it. So the story is absolutely incredible, and I please tune in for our next one, because it's an incredible story of determination and success. So thanks again, Annette, and thanks, Tony.
Yep. Thanks, everybody.
Simon.
What a great show that we've had on, and please join us again. So we bid you farewell until our next Let's Chat.